Uh, my fellow students, you are welcome to the second week of our lecture on the course ACC122 Business Mathematics 2 on the topic marginal functions. In our first week discussion, we have introduced the course outline of the course. And we start our first week lecture by looking at a topic differentiation. Now, in the second week lecture, we are going to look at how we can apply that differentiation knowledge we have in the first week lecture. So that in order to know at what unit a company can produce in order to maximize a profit. The topic is marginal functions. By way of introduction, many scenario-based business can be mathematically modeled in order to aid decision making. One such area is pricing setting. Decisions are made to achieve objectives. The pricing model assumes that the objective of a business is to maximize profit. One extra item, this is the slope of the cost curve. Under this topic, for you to actually understand this topic and to know at what unit that you are going to produce in order to maximize profit, or which price are you going to set in order to maximize profit, you have to look at some terms relating to the topic, which is revenue, marginal cost, and others. When we say revenue, the income generated from the sales of goods or services. It is the price of a goods multiplied by the quantity sold. Marginal revenue, the change in total revenue as a result of selling one extra item. This is the slope of the revenue curve. Marginal cost, this is the change of a cost as a result of making one extra unit of item. This is the slope of a cost curve. Uh, Continuation of marginal functions. A business should be continued to make and sell more units as long as the marginal revenue from selling an item exceeds its marginal cost, as this will increase profit. A unit sold once marginal cost exceeds marginal revenue should reduce profit. The value of marginal cost and marginal revenue depend on the shape of the total cost and total revenue of a business. Uh, Revenue curve. There are two sets of market conditions. Number one, a market which is perfect competition, and a market which is imperfect competition. A perfect competition market requires the existence of many different suppliers competing to sell identical products to many different customers, and that all market participants have a perfect information to help them to make selling and buying decisions. No single supplier can influence the price of goods, as this is determined by the world market. A supplier should make and sell more goods as long as the marginal cost of making them is less than the marginal revenue from the selling them, this being equal to the price set by the market. Perfect competition is rare in practice, but not very interesting from a mathematical modeling view. Questions are far more to be about a company facing imperfect competition. Demand curve. It means that we are going to look at the demand curve in a perfect competition. Suppliers seek to differentiate their product from those of their competitors. This leads to imperfect competition. When imperfect competition exists, a supplier can set his own price. However, this has an effect on demand. The degree of this impact depends on the shape of the demand curve facing by a supplier. A demand curve is a graph showing the quantity demanded at a different sales price. Usually, an increase in price leads to a fall in demand. If the link between price and quantity is assumed to be a straight line relation, it can be represented as follows. Formula: P is equal to A minus BQ, where P is equal to selling price, where Q is quantity demanded, where A is sales price when the quantity demand is 0, where B is change in selling price all over change in quantity sold. Example: driving a demand curve. The sales demand curve for a product is a straight line. Demand equal to 80,000 units when the sales price is 0 naira. Demand equal to 0 unit when the sales price is 40 naira. Derive the demand curve. If you are deriving the demand curve of this example, it means that A is equals to 40 naira, B is equals to 40 naira divided by 80 unit, which is 0.005. The demand curve can be derived as P is equals to 40 minus 0.005 Q. Note, this means that if a company increase the selling price, then the number of goods sold should be increased and vice versa. Example: deriving a demand curve. This will be 4, and the number of the goods sold will be 4, not increase or vice versa, as earlier said. Revenue curve. When we are talking about revenue curve, it means that price times quantity. The impact of a price change on a total revenue of a company depends on the interaction between the change in price and change in quantity. In other words, it depends on the slope of the revenue curve. This is the marginal curve. When we say revenue curve is what marginal curve, that is change of what revenue. Calculating the marginal revenue, it means that for you to calculate the marginal revenue, you have to know what is revenue first, because you have to multiply price times what quantity. Marginal revenue and marginal revenue and marginal revenue can be demonstrated below. If the demand curve is equal to P minus 40 minus 0.005 Q, for you to construct the equation for a total revenue and then differentiate it to respect to give you an expression for marginal revenue. It means that you are multiplying the P, that is which is demand curve, multiplying by the quantity, you will get a total revenue. As you can see, revenue curve is multiplying the demand curve by Q, that is P times Q, that is 40 minus 40 Q minus 0.005 Q raised power 2. That is our revenue. For you to get marginal revenue, you have to differentiate the total revenue. But differentiating the total revenue, you can say dr all over dq. It means that you are differentiating revenue in respect to what quantity. That is, at the end you have 40 minus 0.001 Q, that is marginal revenue. Marginal cost. Marginal cost is the slope of total cost curve. An equation for total cost can be constructed. The total cost function and this can be differentiated with respect to a quantity to find the marginal cost. For example, the total cost and marginal cost. A business manufacture goods at a variable cost of 2 naira per unit. Piece costs are 500,000 naira. Consider the equation for total cost and then differentiate with respect to Q to give an expression of marginal cost. Total cost is equals to total piece cost plus total variable cost. Total variable cost, total variable cost per unit 2 naira multiplied by total unit made, that is quantity. It means that total cost given by TC is equals to total cost is 500,000 plus 2Q. MC cost by differentiating should be 2. That is the TC all over the Q is equals to. When you are differentiating total cost, you will arrive at marginal cost. As we can see from the example, total cost is 500,000 plus 2Q. When you are differentiating total cost, the constant value which is 500,000 should be disappear. When you are differentiating 2Q, it will end up having a 2. That is DTC all over the 2Q is equal to 2. That is marginal cost. Uh, Profit maximization. For a business to maximize its profit under marginal functions, we have two approach. The first approach is either marginal revenue is equals to marginal cost or profit functions, where you can set revenue minus cost after you can differentiate it and make the turning point equal to 0. Taking the first approach, a business should sell an extra unit as long as the marginal revenue of a sale is greater than the marginal cost. A company can only sell more and more units by dropping its selling price. Eventually, the marginal revenue of a sales will become less than its marginal cost. This implies that there is a point where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, at which profit is maximum. The following diagram below plot of the revenue curve and the cost curve of a profit maximization. If you see from the graph, it's showing about profit maximization where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost at a point Q1. Also, there are some approaches for you to find a solution to arrive at profit maximization under marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost approach. The first is to derive a demand curve. The second step derive a revenue curve by multiplying the quantity by multiplying the demand curve by the quantity. The next step is derive an expression of marginal revenue by differentiating the total revenue. The next thing is to set up marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost and solve for the sales quantity that maximize profit. The next 5 stage is the quantity. They calculate the price at which profit are maximized by substituting the value of Q to find a step found at a step 4 into the demand curve. The marginal cost is found by differentiating the total cost line. Usually, we assume that the total cost function is straight line, so marginal cost is simply the slope of this line. Given that the demand functions and the total cost function of Hassan Musa Nigeria Limited are demand curve is equals to P is equal to 40 minus 0.00052. Our total cost line is equal to total cost is equal to 5,000 plus 2Q. You are required to calculate the quantity and the price in which Hassan Musa Limited will sell his product in order to maximize profit. Looking at the solution, look at the profit functions graph where the profit function graph is also presented in the slide, which is very easy for a student to understand. Um, so also, for you to find a price or quantity at which a company can produce or sell in order to maximize profit, we have a profit functions approach. To find the selling price and sell quantity at which profit is maximized using profit approach, the following step must be followed. Number one, derive the demand curve. Number two, derive the revenue curve by multiplying the demand curve by quantity. Number three, derive the total cost curve. Number four, derive the profit curve, which is profit is equal to revenue less cost. Number five, differentiate the profit curve to find its slope. Number six, set the differential coefficient to zero and solve for Q. This is the profit maximization quantity. You can prove that this is a maximum by a checking that the second differential is negative. Now, step number seven, calculate the price at which profit are maximized by substituting the value of Q found at step 6 into demand curve. For example, given that the demand curve P is equals to 40Q minus 0.005Q and P's cost are 50,000 naira, while a business manufacturing goods at a variable cost of 2 naira per unit. You are required to use the profit function to determine the quantity and the price at which this business can be set to maximize its profit. Step 1, see our demand curve functions. Step 2, you have to find a revenue functions which will multiply demand curve by quantity. At last, we have revenue is 40Q minus 0.005 Q raised power 2. Step 3, derive the total cost, which is TC is equal to 500,000 plus 2Q. Step number 4, derive the profit curve, which is revenue minus cost. Profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost. If you look at our total revenue is 40Q minus 0.005Q raised power 2. Our total cost is 500,000 plus 2Q. If you look at, we have minus if giving our profit. At the end, our profit is 38Q minus 0.005Q raised power 2 minus 500,000. Step 5, differentiate the curve to find the slope. You have to differentiate profit with respect to quantity. If you are differentiating the profit function, you are ending up having 38 minus 0.001 Q. Step 6, set the differential coefficient to 0 and solve for Q. That is the phi all over the Q is equal to 38 minus 0.001 Q equal to 0. To solve for Q, you can divide both sides by 0.01. Our Q is 38,000 units. Step 7, price by substituting of Q into the demand curve functions. Our demand function is 40 minus 0.005 Q, which is our Q now is 38. If you substitute, you end up having a price of 21 naira. Conclusion, profit maximized by selling 38 unit and for 21 naira per unit. For this company to maximize it means you have to sell 38 unit at a price of 21 naira. That is the end of this second lecture. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you. Thank you for your kind gesture. If you have any question, you can ask my student, please. Any question? In the answers of any question, we can say call it. We are meeting next week for the third week lecture, which we are going to look at the integration on the business mathematics too. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.